In the previous unit, we learned the definition of an interval, as well as the interval formulas for the major and natural minor scales. We also learned how to derive both major and minor pentatonic scales from those scales. And remember the term natural notes? Those are notes with no sharp or flat. Also, we learned about the naturally occurring half steps. They come between B and C and E and F. Naturally occurring half steps come into play in this unit in a big way. In this unit, we're going to learn how to build a major scale from any note, and we'll use our knowledge of the major scale formula along with naturally occurring half steps to accomplish this goal. One of the net results from this next area of study will be the understanding of key signatures. I can't stress enough how important it is for you to have command of key signatures. But let's get started learning how to build a major scale from any tonic note. To build a major scale, we're going to follow these steps. 1. We're going to write the desired tonic on the staff. 2. We're going to write in all the notes by step on the staff above the tonic using no sharps or flats, and include the octave. 3. We're going to number the scale degrees, including 8, which is 1. 4. We're going to write in the interval formula between the scale degrees. Remember, that's whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And 5, this is the critical part where you need to think. We're going to adjust notes where necessary to fit the interval formula using sharps or flats where necessary. Always remember the naturally occurring half steps and that they're between B and C and E and F. So let's use our 5 steps to build a major scale on C. Step 1, we write C on the staff. Step 2, we fill in all the notes on the staff to the octave and write C there again an octave up. 3, we number all the scale degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The next step, 4th step, we write in the formula. Between 1 and 2, we need a whole step. Between 2 and 3, we need a whole step. Between 3 and 4, we need a half step. Between 4 and 5, we need a whole step. Between 5 and 6, we need a whole step. Between 6 and 7, we need a whole step. And between 7 and 8, we need a half step. And now to the critical step 5. This is where we see if the interval formula fits what's actually on the staff. And we keep in mind our naturally occurring half steps. So let's check the formula against what's actually on the staff. So from 1 to 2, we need a whole step. And what do we have from C to D? A whole step, no adjustment needed. So what do we need from steps 2 to 3? We need a whole step. And what do we have from D to E? A whole step, no adjustment needed. What do we need from 3 to 4? A half step. And what do we have from E to F? Well, that's a naturally occurring half step, so no adjustment needed. What do we need from 4 to 5? A whole step. And what do we have from F to G? A whole step. What do we need from 5 to 6? A whole step. And what do we have from G to A? A whole step, so no adjustment needed. And what do we need from 6 to 7? A whole step. What do we have from A to B? A whole step, no adjustment needed. And what do we need from 7 to 8? The octave. We need a half step. And what do we have from B to C? It's one of the naturally occurring half steps, so no adjustment needed. So when you look at the key of C, all natural notes worked. We didn't need to adjust anything with a sharp or a flat. Now let's do the key of G, and we'll follow our 5 steps again. So, first step, write G on the staff. Second step, fill in the notes to the octave. That's G, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. Third step, number the scale degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Fourth step, write in the interval formula. Between 1 and 2, we need a whole step. Between 2 and 3, we need a whole step. Between 3 and 4, we need a half step. Between 4 and 5, we need a whole step. Between 5 and 6, we need a whole step. Between 6 and 7, we need a whole step. Between 7 and 8, we need a half step. And now the critical step 5. Let's compare the interval formula to what's actually written on the staff. So between 1 and 2, we need a whole step. The distance from G to A is a whole step, so no adjustment needed. From 2 to 3, we need a whole step. And what do we have from A to B? That is a whole step, no adjustment needed. And what do we need from 3 to 4? We need a half step. And what do you have from B to C? That's a naturally occurring half step, so no adjustment needed. What do we need from 4 to 5? A whole step. And what do you have from C to D? A whole step. No adjustment needed. What do we need from 5 to 6? A whole step. And what do we have from D to E? A whole step. No adjustment needed. What do we need from 6 to 7? A whole step. But what do we have from E to F? That's a naturally occurring half step. So we need to increase the distance between E and F. So we apply a sharp to F. And now the distance from E to F sharp is a whole step. And what do we need from 7 to 8? We need a half step. And now that F is F sharp, we have a half step from F sharp to G. So to build the G major scale, we needed to raise one note, the F, a half step by applying a sharp. So you could say that the key of G requires one sharp to fit the formula. Next, let's build the D major scale, just for another example. So let's follow our 5 steps. Step 1, write D on the staff. Step 2, fill in all the notes of the octave, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then again D. Third step, number the scale degrees, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Fourth step, write in the interval formula. Between 1 and 2, a whole step. Between 2 and 3, a whole step. Between 3 and 4, a half step. Between 4 and 5, a whole step. Between 5 and 6, a whole step. Between 6 and 7, a whole step. And between 7 and 8, a half step. And next, step 5, let's compare what's on the staff with the formula and see if any adjustments are needed using sharps or flats. So from 1 to 2, we need a whole step, and between D and E, we have a whole step, no adjustment needed. Between 2 and 3, we need a whole step, but E to F is a naturally occurring half step, so we need to increase the distance between E and F. We do that by applying a sharp to F, so F becomes F sharp. Now we have a whole step between E and F sharp. Between 3 and 4, we need a half step, and now that F is F sharp, we have a half step between F sharp and G. Between 4 and 5, we need a whole step, and from G to A is a whole step, no adjustment needed. From 5 to 6, we need a whole step, and from A to B is a whole step, no adjustment needed. From 6 to 7, we need a whole step. From B to C is a naturally occurring half step, so we need to increase the distance from B to C, and we do that by applying a sharp to C. So C becomes C sharp. Now the distance from B to C sharp is a whole step, which satisfies our formula requirements. And then from 7 to 8, we need a half step, and now that C is C sharp, we have a half step from C sharp to D. So our D major scale is D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. We can say that it required 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp, to create the D major scale. Now that you've seen how these 5 steps of building major scales work for the keys of C, G, and D, practice these steps again on your own, and also do the A, E, B, F sharp, and C sharp major scales like we just did. Today we learned a clear process for building the major scale in any key. Be sure to practice this because this process is really important in learning key signatures. This process may seem slow and deliberate, but it's critical that you repeat it until it becomes second nature. You'll notice we only work with keys that use sharps today. We will work on keys that use flats in an upcoming unit. But for now, practice building the C, G, D, A, B, F sharp, and C sharp major scales on a piece of staff paper. We'll see you in the next module.